Netflix has recently begun producing original films. The streaming service has produced Best Picture nominees and blockbusters while relying on social media to generate interest in its upcoming titles. Netflix has a wide range of original productions that generate excitement when they are announced, ranging from captivating dramas to hilarious comedy specials. Many of these titles live up to the hype. Are there any other shows that don't live up to the hype? Of course, and we've got you covered in today's show. Stay tuned. The first show on our list is Iron Fist. This is a film adaptation of one of Marvel's most well-known superheroes, who first appeared in comic books in the 1970s and has enjoyed steadily increasing popularity since then. Marvel adaptations produced by Netflix, such as Daredevil and Jessica Jones, have been extremely successful for the streaming service. Luke Cage and Iron Fist are two more examples. Another two examples that come to mind are Luke Cage and Iron Fist. According to all the accounts available at the time, this show appeared to be an instant hit, just like the other shows spawned from the Marvel Universe. On the other hand, the show did not become a huge success overnight. Despite this, when it came to living up to the standards of excellence established by its Marvel counterparts, this Marvel superhero fell just a little short. According to a number of critics, this adaptation of a Marvel property did not live up to the level of excitement and entertainment found in other Marvel adaptations. Unlike the other collaborative shows, Iron Fist seemed to leave the majority of viewers unimpressed and bored most of the time. When compared to the other shows, this was especially true. This was especially true when compared to the competition's caliber. Moving on with Disjointed. An episode of the television comedy series Disjointed depicted the life of the owner of a medical marijuana dispensary in a humorously satirical manner. Chuck Lorre, also known as the king of sitcoms, is in charge of producing and directing this show. He is well known for his creative brilliance. The proprietor is played by well-known actress Kathy Bates, and the show's direction and production are overseen by Chuck Lorre. The new Netflix comedy appeared to have all the ingredients for an instant hit, including exceptional actors, a humorous plot, and a live audience. The show was specifically broadcast live from Los Angeles. Despite the fact that their plan appeared to be excellent, the show's producer had unquestionably failed to live up to expectations when it came to putting their strategy for the show into action, resulting in expectations not being met. Despite the fact that their strategy appeared to be excellent, after reading some of the season's most negative reviews, the creators of this series decided that the best course of action was to end it as soon as possible. The reason given was that the plot was disorganized, and the jokes were repeated several times. Following that, Chelsea Handler, a talk show host whose show aired on the E! Network, received widespread commercial and critical acclaim for her show over the course of several years. People's attitudes toward talk shows in general shifted significantly in favor of the better as a result of her unflinchingly honest personality and the astute comeback she would spit at her audience. This shift was in the right direction. Many viewers were ecstatic to see Chelsea return to their screens after such a long absence with their brand new show, which debuted on Netflix this week. They hadn't seen her on television in a long time, so this was their first time seeing her. They stood there, arms outstretched in a welcoming gesture, waiting for her. In terms of overall rating, the audience did not respond to Chelsea's most recent performance with nearly the same level of adoration as they did to her previous show. As a result, the rating was lower than it otherwise would have been. Following a barrage of consistently negative reviews for the show's first two seasons, Netflix determined that canceling the show was in their best interest. Next up, Bright. Bright is a film that combines the science fiction and action genres. The audience is taken on action-packed journey into a science fiction's fantastical world, where real people coexist peacefully with fantastical creatures. It follows the exploits of a human cop and his orc partner as they battle the evils of the world to save a young elf from a villainous figure's clutches. David Ayer, who also directed Suicide Squad, directs the film. Will Smith and Joel Edgerton star in the film. Netflix invested $90 million in the film's production because they had high hopes for it and wanted to ensure that it met their stringent quality standards. According to Engadget, Netflix started working on a sequel before the film was even available on the streaming service. When this film was released, fans were not pleased. There were few film critics who could say anything positive about the film. One critic described the film as basically an old-fashioned buddy cop movie dressed up in a bizarre trappings. Given the numerous other reviews that essentially echo what was said there, it's no surprise that Netflix had decided to cancel its plans for a sequel. Despite the fact that Netflix has produced a few movies and series that did not live up to their expectations, the company is still able to generate a sizable profit solely on its original content. This is true despite the fact that Netflix has produced a few movies and series that have fallen short of expectations. We are confident that given their track record, they will continue to produce a plethora of original content that meets or exceeds the expectations of their audience in the future. Following that, Marco Polo 2014. After two expensive seasons of the Middle Ages war drama, Netflix discovered the hard way that Marco Polo would not become its own epic in the vein of Game of Thrones. However, Netflix may have hoped that the show would become its own spin-off. Harvey Weinstein, who was serving as a producer at the time, marketed Marco Polo as one of the most expensive shows ever done for pay TV. This was prior to Harvey Weinstein's public fall from grace. It was being prepared for stars at the time, and its bloated budget was supposed to demonstrate the scope of its bravado and ambition. Ted Sarandos, Netflix's head of content, described the show as an ageless tale of power, adventure, betrayal, and lust that combines deft storytelling and cinematic ambition. Despite all that profound language, the series was a complete and utter failure. The show did get some points for having a culturally diverse cast, cast, and the company's CEO praised it and called it a massive success. Sure, the show did get some points for having a culturally diverse cast, while keeping any numerical support for that claim close to the vest. However, after 2 seasons of the critically planned series Marco Polo, Netflix was unable to continue funding the show and decided to cancel it, leaving them with an estimated $200 million loss for all of their efforts. Moving on. Sense8. When Lana and Lana Wachowski decided to collaborate on a television series for the first time, the mere mention of their names sparked significant interest in the upcoming science fiction show. It certainly helped that Sense8 received mostly positive reviews and was recognized by the GLAAD Media Awards for its inclusion of the LGBTQ characters. The decision to cancel the series after 2 seasons was perplexing to those who had watched the show and grown fond of the diverse group of 8, especially given how positive the reviews had remained. Sarandos later revealed, however, that despite all these positives, the show simply did not attract a large enough audience to justify the cost, approximately $9 million per episode. It's fantastic when there's a large, expensive show with a large audience. Even with our model, making a large, expensive show work for a small audience for an extended period of time is difficult, he explained himself. Despite the audience's enthusiastic response to the show's cancellation, Netflix initially insisted that it could not justify its continuation. However, several weeks later, they decided to bring it back for a single 2-hour finale episode to provide closure. Finally, in our list, we have The Get Down 2016. Although Netflix has had to pay a lot of money for several of its shows, The Get Down is one of its most expensive projects to date. The 70-set musical drama cost a whopping $120 million to produce, possibly as much as $200 million, making it Netflix's most expensive series until The Crown. The streaming service also went all out to promote the show, including using graffiti art in major cities. However, because it was in the hands of Baz Luhrmann, whose credits include visual epics such as Romeo and Juliet, Moulin Rouge, Australia, and The Great Gatsby, the investment appeared sound, and positive reviews seemed to confirm that. However, the show's viewership fell short of expectations, with just over 3 million viewers tuning in during the first month of its run, despite the fact that Luhrmann publicly stated that he was leaving the project to focus on films, and the series' set was notoriously plagued with problems. The show's failure to match the ratings of far less expensive original series like Orange is the New Black and Stranger Things meant it was canned after a single 2-part season. That concludes our show today. Hope you liked it. On your way out, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.